Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. As you all know, this is Jowins Fashion Ville. Thank you so much. Hope you guys are having a great day. In today's video, we're learning how to make this maxi circle dress with a stylish sleeve. If this is your first time of stopping by, you're absolutely welcome. Do not forget to hit on the subscribe button and hit on the notification bell as well to get notified whenever I upload a new video. If this is what you're interested in watching, kindly watch the video to the end. Do not forget to hit the like button. So guys, let's get started. On the working table, guys, I have my simple basic block, and on the waist block, on the pattern rather, I have my waistline and the hip line and the bust line. It's just a simple basic block. And from my shoulder line to my waistline, I have 18 inches. That is where I chose to place my waistline, and then the hip line around 24 inches, and then the darts, I tightened the darts by 0.75. This is the waistline. I incorporated a seam allowance into the pattern. So this explains why you're not seeing a seam allowance on the hip line. It's already incorporated into that part, okay? So the other side you're seeing is the dart intake plus seam allowance on the waistline, and then the seam allowance on the bust line. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Do not forget I mentioned that I tightened my waist dart by 0.75 because I wanted a tightening more precise, okay, more fitting. I meant to see if there's any other words you can use for that, please kindly do. So guys, for the neckline, I did 4 inches by 3 inches depth. Okay, the width 4 inches, and then the depth by 3 inches. Okay, so guys, I went ahead to place my pattern on the fabric. I'll be using this pattern to draft, and I'll be cutting the front and the back together. The difference between the front and the back is the zipper allowance. Okay, so the one with the zipper allowance is the back, so I'll place my pattern on it, and then I'll use my pin to secure it so that it will stabilize the pattern on the fabric. The fabric is a little bit slippery, so this explains why I'm actually working with my pin. But it's actually very important, irrespective of your choice of fabric, to always stabilize your pattern on your fabric. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut the neckline for the back. Okay, they won't be using the same neckline. So for the back, I did 1.5 inches. Okay, and then the width is still the same, 4 inches, but the depth is different. So I'll cut out the back pattern first. So I'm cutting the neckline, and then what I basically did here, as you can see, this is my waistline. From that point I'll come down by 1 inch, as you can see, and then from that point I'll just draft my curve towards the hem of the dress. Okay, the hem of the dress is around 58 inches. Okay, so I added additional 1 inch, okay, for the seam allowance, shoulder seam, and the seam allowance for the hemline. Okay, so I'll just draft this way. Just follow the direction of the chalk. I'll just link this down to the hemline this way. Okay, so giving it that curve. Okay, if I had enough fabric, I would have kind of curved my fabric somehow for us to draft this, but it's okay to do this. So I went up by 2 inches. Okay, and then I later realized that 2 inches wasn't really giving, it wasn't giving me that curve that I want, so I did 3 inches. Okay, so not to waste your time, just curve it by 3 inches to give you that circle dress, to give you that circle effect around the hemline. Okay, so right here on the screen I did 2 inches, but much later I went up a bit by 1 inch to, you know, give me that curve. Okay, like I mentioned, the curve wasn't really giving that curvy effect that I wanted. This explains the additional 1 inch I added. So I went ahead to cut out the pattern. So this is the back first. This is the back pattern. Okay, I'm cutting out the back pattern. Why I said back pattern? Because of the neckline. Remember, we're drafting both together, but I'm drafting the back first, and then after doing this I'll simply detach and then cut out the front. Okay, so guys, having done that, So guys, the next thing I did was to draft the yoke. Okay, you can either draft your yoke directly on the pattern, or you can just follow this method. Whichever one or whichever way is fine. So guys, on the armhole I came down by 7 inches, and then on the center front neckline I came down by 8 inches, and then I created my curve. Okay, so if you want this curve to be curvy at the neckline, you can come down by 9 inches on the center front. Okay, so you can see that I cut this thing first on the pattern paper, then I went ahead to cut it on the fabric. I added half an inch seam allowance. Okay, so just for to join, so that I won't be experiencing any form of shortage. Okay, so you can see that I first of all cut it on the pattern, I lifted it up and then cut it on the fabric, adding half an inch on the lower front and back pattern. Okay, guys, so this is the dart. I'm trying to mark that point, so I will go ahead and notch the waistline. This is going to act as a guide for me to place my dart. Okay, so I'm notching that point. It's very important that you do this, so that when you want to place your dart, that mark there, that notch there, will kind of guide you. Okay, the other things I'll also let us know. There are also other things I will do, rather, to act as an indicator for me to place my dart, or rather act as a guide for me to place my dart. Okay, you know that this dress has no waistline. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut out the lining for this. I'm going to be lining the dress. It's not compulsory. If you have a dress, if you have an inner wear, you can choose to use an inner wear, an inner gown, an inner sleeveless gown for this, but I felt that I should just line it. Okay, so that I could just wear it comfortably as I want, without having to wear any inner dress. Okay, on the thumbnail I think the person wore an inner dress, but I chose to line it. Okay, so that it will just be there. So I used the front pattern to draft this, but I made it a little bit shorter than the dress itself. The lining is a bit shorter than the dress, but I just simply drafted the pattern and reduced the length. It's as easy as this. So for the back pattern, I went ahead to open up the zipper allowance, and I also do the same on the main fabric. The main fabric, I open the zipper allowance for the back. This is simply the back for the lining. So I'm also drafting the front pattern. This is the front pattern. I'm cutting out the lining for the front pattern. Okay, you can see that the lining is shorter than the main fabric. Okay, so it's simply a lining. It doesn't have to be equal length with the main fabric, especially for a circle dress like this. So guys, we're good here, and then I'll simply go ahead and open up the zipper allowance. This is a zipper allowance, or this is the back pattern. I'll simply open up the zipper allowance just like I did for the lining. So guys, what I'll simply do next is to cut out the yoke. Okay, remember that I drafted the yoke directly on the fabric, and I highlighted earlier that you can choose to cut out your yoke on the pattern. Okay, but I just wanted it to be so clear, to be so simplified, especially for beginners who will be watching this video, so that they can really understand or get this in detail. Okay, so this is the yoke. From that pattern directly, I'll be coming down by half an inch, which is the seam allowance, and then I'll go ahead and cut it. So if you observe, you will notice that I added half an inch from the pattern, not the fabric itself, because the fabric is a bit reduced. So the first pattern I cut out for the yoke is the back. So this is basically the front pattern. I placed it on fold and added half an inch on the main pattern, which is the paper pattern, and then I cut out the pattern on the net. Okay, so I'll be doubling this net, guys. I'll be doubling it to reduce the intensity of the see-through. You can choose to use it this way. It all depends on choice, but I just made sure that mine was doubled. Okay, so you can see that for the back I have 2 layers, and then for the front I have 2 layers. So I'll open this up so that we can see or understand exactly what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I just open this up. This is basically for either, I think this is the freest, this is for the front. Okay, so this is what I have. I will just turn it up. Okay, right sides facing each other. You conceal the neckline and then you turn it up. So this is the front pattern for the fabric, the main fabric itself. I just sprinkle the water. If you have a steaming iron, you can just use your steaming iron to create a center line on the center front. I just want a guide. So this is another guide I was talking about to help me place the dart. So I just used my iron to heat it up and created a line on the center front. So from that part, it helped me to place my dart by 3.75 inches on both sides. Okay, so your bust to bust is different, so know what your dart intake will be. Okay, so I've added my attached the yoke to the main fabric. I turned the neckline up. I joined the net. I closed up the neckline. I hope you all understand the point I'm trying to make before joining it to the main fabric itself. So this is the curve for the hemline I was talking about. So I think I'm more comfortable with what I'm seeing. So this is 3 inches, okay, not 2 inches, so that you don't go cutting 2 inches and you say, oh, Jowins channel did 2 inches and I'm getting something different. So this is 3 inches. So guys, what I'll basically do next is to use my lining for proper inseam finishing for the inner part of the dress. So I just placed the yoke in between the main fabric and the lining, and then I used my pin to secure it. I hope you can see that the yoke is in between the lining and the main fabric, right sides facing each other. Okay, so just note this, don't place it in a different way. So I'll go ahead and stitch it, and then I'll trim off the excess on the armhole. If you notice that I did not secure the armhole, okay, so I'll turn it and then I'm expected to see something like this. Okay, so it's neater this way. So this is what I have. You can see my dart placement, and you can see that I've used my lining to conceal the hemline on that part, okay, to give it the proper inseam finishing. So I top stitch the armhole so that it will help me place my sleeves properly, okay, and it won't be flipping out, you know, giving me some kind of and giving me something, an effect, or making it difficult for me to attach my sleeve. I think that's more better. So it's better you top stitch your lining to your main fabric. I also top stitch the zipper part for the back. So you can see that I've attached the yoke. What I did for the front, I did for the back, and then I just top stitch the zipper side. Okay, this part here, I top stitch it to the lining, okay, and then top stitch the armhole, but the side I didn't top stitch it. Okay, so I have a reason for that, and as the tutorial keeps going, I'll let you guys know basically why I did not top stitch the side fronts. Okay, so just keep watching, guys, and if you've watched to this point, don't forget to hit the like button. So guys, this is our basic sleeve, a simple basic sleeve. I have a tutorial on this. You can go ahead and check it out. It's important that for every process or sewing tutorial, you learn how to draft a basic block and a basic sleeve. This is the foundation for every beginner. So guys, from the shoulder line of the basic sleeve, I came down by 7 inches. That's the first part, first demarcation. Then from the lower part, I went up by 3 inches, and in between, I just drew a straight line. You can use a meter rule or the straight part of your pattern master to draw a straight line. So I have the second layer and the third layer. So 1, 2, 3. So guys, I've demarcated it for properly for us to see. Okay, so I have my first layer, the second layer, and the third layer. Okay, so having done this, I'll be using this net to cut out the first layer, and just like I did for the front part, the front pattern for the yoke, I also doubled the sleeve. I also doubled the net for this part. I didn't just use a single layer of net. So it's your choice to decide what you want. Okay, it's not compulsory that you make it double. If you want it to be very easy, you can get a very thick and strong durable net. I'll use a durable net, and you can do one layer. So, but this is actually a very good net, but I just wanted to reduce the intensity of the see-through. I wanted it to be you know, just the way I want, double net. Okay, so I'm trying to cut out for the other side, so I'll just simply go ahead, place my fabric on fold, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the net. So in total I think I have about 4 layers here. I have 4 layers of net, 1 2 3 4, as you can see. So 2 for one sleeve and the other 2 for the other sleeve. So guys, we're good to go here. So the next thing I simply want to cut is the third layer, which is the band. Okay, so you know that this band is not on fold. Okay, so just simply assume that is on fold. So that is why I'm folding it, because I didn't cut my basic sleeve on fold. I just used a single plain part. Normally when you're drafting your basic sleeve, you place it on fold. So I placed it on fold and turned it up this way, and then I cut it out. Okay, so this is what I have. When I place it like this is a single band per sleeve. Okay, so you can go ahead to fold it at the hem, fold it by 1/2 inch. Okay, just fold this part here by 1/2 inch, because I'll be sandwiching 2 in between 3. Okay, I won't just be attaching it like you're joining. I'll be sandwiching the second layer in between this part, so it's very important that you create a bias fold by 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'll be using this band to cut out the second band for the other sleeve, and this is what I have. So I'm trimming out the excess on this point, and like I mentioned, that you can create a fold at this point where I just trimmed off. Now you fold it by 1/2 inch so that it helps you to sandwich it to the second layer neatly. Okay, so this is the second layer, so I'll be using the main fabric for this layer. It's about 12 inches and the width is 10 inches. So I chose to multiply by 2 initially. I felt it was much, so I reduced it to 1.5. Note that I multiplied by 1.5 and not 2 inches. But if you want a more fuller gather, you can do times 2. But I did times 1.5, so I have about 15 to 16 inches. So I'll gather this to this point, and then I'll gather the lower part to the band. Okay, it's as easy as this. You gather this to the upper part, the first layer, and then you gather this to the band. So I'll show you guys the outcome of what I did. So guys, this is the outcome of the sleeve. You can see how it is. I gathered the band to the net and then to the band. Okay, you can see that I sandwiched it in between. You won't be seeing any seam. You won't see anything there. It's just in between. The fabric is in between. Okay, and then I stitched it. So what I have here, I just placed it on fold, took a measurement, and then went in by 1 inch. Okay, just reduce it a bit by 1 inch. Okay, so the good thing about watching the video is that you can choose to go back. So if you didn't get that part, please kindly just go back and then have a clear understanding of what I did. So I basically went ahead to join the shoulder to enable me attach the sleeve. So I've attached the sleeve. I usually do this. You attach your sleeve after joining your shoulder. Okay, so I want us to note that I'll be joining my lining separately from the main fabric. So this explains why I didn't top stitch it to the main fabric. I didn't top stitch. I wanted this lining to be joined separately from the main fabric. Okay, so I'll show you guys how I literally did this. I'm going to be placing this right sides facing each other. So I'll place it this way, and then please take your appropriate body measurement. You can see my zipper allowance. Take your appropriate body measurement and run your stitch from the sleeve. When you get to the armhole, you just know how to manipulate your stitching down to your hemline, separating both fabrics. Thank you so much guys for watching. Thank you. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.